All right. Good morning, sixth grade.
Good
Morning.
All right. Let's see who we got showed up today. Good morning, Omar, Demi, Alyssa, Angelina, Blessing, Carlton, Esther, Jazzy, Q, Kayasia, Nikel, Sergio, Aiden, Alexander, Allison, Perez. Kayasia is back. Good morning. We got Aiden Bernal. We got Alexander. We got Alyssa P, Carlos, Daniel, Ilani, Hector, Juan, Jasmine L, Jency, Kira, Kristen, Elise, Melanie, Munir, Nazir, C, Sarai. Good morning. All right. So there's been a little confusion. I want to clear this up so that the rest of the students know. Whatever packets in Google Classroom, which is the one that Mr. Rez just posted, okay, it does say Thursday, but really it's supposed to say Friday, May 22nd. That is the packet we are working with, the one that's in Google Classroom. So today, we're going to learn how to multiply and divide integers by applying rules for combining, the 4 rules to compute the products and quotients. So that is what we're going to be working with today. We're going to be working with that. And good morning, Guadalupe and Juan. So we have to know these 4 rules when we're multiplying integers. When we are multiplying integers, when the signs are the same, it's positive. So if you look here, you're going to refer to this chart. A positive times a positive is a positive. A negative times a negative is a positive. Look at this chart. A positive times a negative is a negative. And a negative times a positive is a negative. These rules tell you what kind of sign it is. And you're surely going to either multiply or divide. The same rules apply for dividing. We got a positive divided by a positive, give me a positive. A negative divided by a negative, give me a positive. A positive times a negative, give me a negative. And a negative times a positive, give me a negative. So the same rules for multiplying integers apply for dividing integers. You're going to refer to page 1 for any issues that you may have as we complete this packet. So we're going to turn the page and we're going to move on to page 2 now. That looks like this. So it says letter A, 7 times 3. Well, it's a positive times a positive. So a positive times a positive is 21, which would give me a positive integer. So if we look here, we have 7 times 3, which we know is 21. And because it's a positive times a positive, the sign is a positive integer. Please write that down. That's what that is. Next problem. So here we go. Now, we're going to move on here. The next question, we have a negative 9 times 8. We know that when we have a negative times a positive, if we look on this chart, a negative times a positive gives me a negative. So my sign is going to be negative. And then I'm strictly just going to multiply 9 times 8, which is 72. So it's negative 72. It's a negative integer. Here, we got a negative times a negative, which is a positive. So it's going to be 24, and the sign is positive. Negative and negative make a positive. Looking at D, we got a positive times a negative. A positive times a negative is a negative, and then we multiply 12 times negative 4, and we get negative 48. We're using the rules that are on this page, okay? We're applying the integer rules for multiplying and dividing integers.
Can you slow down a little bit, please?
So, next. A positive times a negative. So if you look on the chart, a positive times a negative for letter E. A positive times a negative gives me a negative answer. Then I multiply 11 times 7, I get 77, so it's negative 77. Here, the sign is a negative times a positive. I'm going to go to the chart. A negative times a positive is a negative. So that means it would be negative 14,000. Again, same signs, it's positive. Different signs, it's negative. Same positive, different negative. Same with dividing. Same rules apply for dividing integers. Okay, we're gonna move on in 3, in 2, in 1, in 0. All right, we're gonna move on. Now, we're gonna take what we just did and we're gonna apply it into action. So I'm gonna call someone to read me question 1, 2, and 3. I'm gonna call one student to do the first 3, and then the next student to do the next 3. All right, Esther. You're gonna read for us page 3, the directions, and problem 1, 2, and 3, please.
Directions. Based on the lessons and the notes presented, on the notes presented, complete your own chart on the multiplication and division rules of integers. Multiplying and dividing integers. The product of two integers with the same sign is.
All right, so when we have the same sign and we multiply with the, when we multiply with the same sign. So look, positive times positive is positive, and a negative times a negative is a positive. So what kind of answer is it if the signs are the same?
Positive.
Positive. So number 1, you write positive. Number 2, Esther, can you read that one?
Number 2, the product of two integers with different signs is.
All right, so let's look. Product means multiply. So I have a positive times a negative, which is a negative. And I have a negative times a positive, which is a negative. So different signs give me a what kind of integer?
Negative.
Negative. So number 2 is negative.
I don't have it.
There we go. All right, number 3, we're gonna fill the chart in. Very simple. Here's what we gotta remember. We just did the chart. A positive times a positive is a positive. A negative times a negative is a positive. A positive times a negative is a negative. And a negative times a positive is a negative. Okay, we're just recapping the chart that was here. We're just rewriting the top chart on this chart. So if you know these rules for multiplying and dividing integers, you can answer any question. Very simple. Same signs, it's positive. Different signs, it's negative. So now we're going to go multiply these answers for number 4 and number 5. Keeping in mind that the same signs is positive and different signs is negative. Thumbs up so far if you're with me. Same is positive, different is negative.
You're moving too fast.
Again, know these rules. All you're going to look at is the chart. The chart's going to tell you based on the sign if it's a negative answer or a positive answer. That's all this is saying. Okay, we're going to move on now to number 4. We got negative 10 times negative 2. We have 2 negatives. When I multiply 2 negatives, I'm going to get what kind of sign, Nazier? Can you unmute yourself? Naz.
You're gonna get a positive sign.
Good. So what's 10 times 2?
20.
Good. So number 4 is 20. How about the next one, Naz? 16 times negative 8. The signs are different. So when there's a different sign, we have a
It's gonna
positive.
be negative.
Good. Negative. What's 16 times 8?
1.
That's right. 1 what? 1 what?
1.
20.
Yeah,
28.
yeah, 128.
Positive or negative?
Negative 128.
Good. Now we're going to do number 5. Same rules apply for dividing. The quotient, now we're talking about division. The quotient of 2 integers with the blank sign is positive. I just gave the answer.
Same sign.
The same sign, good. When they have negatives, are the signs the same or different?
Different.
Right. Good job, kiddo. I'm proud of you. All right, let me do this. Let's bring this up here. So when you're multiplying and dividing, it's the same exact rules. So the quotient of two integers with the same sign is positive. See, positive, 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 positive sign. When they have different signs, it is negative. Now here, find the quotient. So 50 is positive times divided by a negative. A positive divided by a negative gives me a negative sign, and then I just do the division and I get 10. So the sign is negative 10. On this one, I got a negative times a positive. So a negative times a positive is a negative. So it should be, sorry, I made a mistake. It's two negatives. I looked at it wrong. A negative times a negative divided by a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So two negatives when I divide become a positive, just like two negatives when I multiply become a positive. Same rules. Got to know these rules. Same signs positive, different signs negative. Okay? Again, this is the packet from Google Classroom. That way there's no confusion. All right, we're going to move on now to the next page, which is going to be page 4. I'm going to call up, you're going to use the chart on page 1 to help you. All right, Chris. Okay, Chris, can you read us page 4, the directions, please?
Okay, I'm reading it from Google Classroom
That's
because I
fine.
don't have the actual packet.
That's fine.
Page 4, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So A is 20 divided by 4.
Okay.
So it's two positives. So it's going to be, so the answer will be positive.
Good. So you're
So
going to
it's
do all of them.
5.
Good. Go do B for us.
Positive 5. So B, negative A divided by negative 2. So when I go to the chart, negative divided by negative equals positive. So it's going to be positive 4.
Good. Okay, go do C.
Okay. C is 2 times negative 1,
Oh,
and so a positive.
oh, careful. Negative 2 times negative 1.
Oh,
Right.
I didn't see the negative sign. Negative 2 times negative 1 is, I think, positive 2.
So a negative times a negative is what?
A positive.
Right. So positive, what's 2 times 1?
Positive 2.
Right. There you go. Awesome. All right. Let's go and call on, let's try this lovely lady. Hi, Guadalupe. All right, Guadalupe, letter D. Okay, we're using page 1 to help us with the sign.
I know where you're at, so.
We're on page 4. Page 4, letter D. And it's in, yes, it's in Google Classroom. Okay, we'll come back to you. We'll come back to you. Ilani. Good morning. All right, we're on page 4, letter D.
All right. This parentheses. They're both negative numbers, which means that we're gonna have a positive, and the answer is 4. So 4 positive.
Right. So again, I just want to clear up some. You're saying you have a different packet. We went over that in the beginning, that we're using the one in Google Classroom that Mr. Rez posted. Hold on one second.